I want their leader brought here. I want him brought to me. I want the revolution crushed.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the show. My name is Sim. Along with me is my fellow co-host, Harry. We have a wonderful show for you guys this evening, but before you get started, help us out on patreon.com/the Mad Mamluks. And if you would be so kind as to hit that like button and throw a comment in the comment section below. We have a wonderful guest for you guys, a new acquaintance we've met over on X, or Twitter rather, Congress, or candidate for Congress in Florida's District 11, Mike Wilnau. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, I'm going to let Harry do the intros and let us know, or let the listeners know how we got acquainted with you. Harry, why don't you kick it off?
Hey, how's it going? Assalamu alaikum, nerds. Hope y'all are doing great. And by the way, once again, shameless plug. As always, please follow me on X at Mr. Harry198. So, Mike is a candidate for Florida's 11th district. Is that correct?
Florida's 11th? Correct. Yep.
All right. I met Mike online on X, and you should follow him. Where can they follow you at, Mike?
Follow me on X at Mike Wilnau. You can go to my website, flmike.com. I'm on Facebook, too. It's just my name. Mike Wilnau, Wilnau.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So anyway, Mike, in the same spirit as Aaron Baker, running for Florida 6, who we had on recently also as well. These are gentlemen that we'll say they don't, we'll just put it this way. While they might have some differences, in general, they are conservative, traditional Republicans who believe in limited government, and they don't want AIPAC in our politics. And I am very thrilled to have you on the show today. We're all thrilled to have you. We're here to support you guys. Another way we can, we're trying to get the message out for the Muslim community in America so that hopefully people will give you financial support and other types of support. We want to give you guys a good run here.
Mike, just to piggyback off what Harry said, does that kind of surprise you? Because there's always that conversation from different political leanings from the left, in particular, that, you know, Muslims are always going to be supporting the Democrats. And a show like ours has much more traditional values. And I think most Muslims before Clinton, before Bush, I think, were always going Republican, because the alignment with traditional values was always there throughout the 90s, more for I think, with Clinton. I think with George W. Bush is when it kind of split off. And does that surprise you at all, or did you already know about this kind of stuff, that we all kind of had this alignment with traditional values?
Well, no, I mean, a little bit, because as you said, since, you know, the end of the Clinton era, early 2000s coming into the Bush era, you know, there was kind of that swing there in support. I wouldn't say it surprises me, because I do know quite a few Muslim people, and they are very family oriented. They're very conservative in their values. So no, it doesn't really surprise me at all.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and there's just there's a whole lot to unpack there, because at least from when we hear with a lot of the conversation that's happening on Twitter, and you're hearing not just on Twitter, but just you hear some people who are some elected officials who are, you know, trying to scaremonger about Sharia law being enacted by Muslims. Well, first of all, Muslims are 3% of the population in the United States. The idea that they're going to enact Sharia law or push for Sharia law in the United States is just mind-bogglingly dumb. It's first of all, it doesn't have a whole lot of things that are already in contradiction with what American law is to begin with, and then the idea, it's like they're using this way to scare people into saying, "Hey, vote for me, and you will be protected. I will make sure none of this craziness comes into your world," and that's what kind of makes us laugh about, and also worries a lot of Muslim people when they're discussing or thinking about voting Republican. Is that, hey, are these people going to, start using this way to attack us, this Sharia law type of fear mongering to attack us in the future? And that's what worries them, because they're not, at least when you look at the value system side by side with the Democrats, they're completely polar opposites. There are things that are in terms of the leftist ideas, there's alignment in justice and fighting against fighting for common sense. There's a lot of things that are in alignment in that respect with the left, but in terms of traditional values, in terms of raising your children, they're all in line with the Republicans. So, what are your thoughts about that?
No, I think you're right. And culturally, conservatism does line up very well with the teachings of Islam and Sharia law. I'll be completely honest with you. Until about a year ago, I didn't even know what Sharia law was. It was just a buzzword that was used to scare people.
Yeah.
And when I looked further into it, I realized just how much it had influenced empires across history. And I think that people are afraid of what they're seeing in England or across Europe. They're seeing the
They're seeing mass migration.
They're seeing mass migration, and they're seeing their cultural erasure in a lot of ways. And it's that's not good, but that's not going to happen in America. And any kind of mass migration isn't good, but I don't blame Islam for that. I don't.
Yeah.
I think that it's just a cultural difference.
So I think here's where we just need to learn a little bit about you, because you're not the typical politician that at least many Muslims who are tuning in and are learning about right now, or any just listener in general, because most people or candidates or whatnot will try to take advantage of a situation and try to push them and say hey, I'm here for you, I'm going to protect your values and stuff. And it seems like you're a bit more well-read. So why did you want to run in the first place? What exactly is your candidate, the current congressman over there in District 11, doing that made you say hey, I need to run for office?
Yeah, so my current representative, he's been in office for almost 50 years. He's a career politician. I don't think he's really a bad guy per se. He's not some overtly corrupt politician who's just making millions of dollars off the system. But he is a part of the problem. He's a part of the problem that got us to where we are, and that's not good enough. You can't be almost 80 years old representing a population that's 50% under the age of 40. We don't have accurate representation, and a big majority of the people that live in my district are just like me. They're young, they have a family, they work in the trades, and I just saw over and over and over again empty promises by politicians. I saw fear mongering, trying to pit you against your neighbor, whether it's left versus right, black versus white, Christian versus Muslim, whatever it's going to be that they're going to use. It's all just a diversionary tactic. It's so that they can keep going to business as usual. And the country's going to fall apart, if we continue down this path. So I'm not a politician. That's why when I talk to you, you might be like, oh, this guy's a little different as a politician, because I'm not a politician. I'm a mechanic. I work in the trades. I went to
Nice.
trade school, but I have good ideas, you know,
Yeah.
and I think that even if I don't win, I think that what I stand for will inspire the right people to stand up and do exactly what I'm doing. But they'll have more resources, they'll have more experience, they'll have you know a machine behind them that I don't have. You know, because right now it's just me and a few other candidates that believe in each other. You know, I've been on a few shows, been on a few podcasts, going to all the events that I can go to, knocking doors. But at the end of the day, my opponent spent $2 million in his last election, and I'm not going to spend $2 million. Even if I had it, I wouldn't spend it. Um, it's a game of money.
Yeah.
That's it's what it's all about for these people. And to me, it's disgusting because it's not a game of money for me. It's a game of uh, uh, my kids' future. You know, this is the country my kids are going to grow up in, and
Absolutely.
I can't keep being represented by somebody who only cares about the next election cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike, would you say that you're more um, closer to Marjorie Taylor Greene or closer to Thomas Massey in terms of your platform?
Between the two of them, like those two specifically,
Mm-hmm.
um, probably more Massey. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I think that Marjorie Taylor Greene has some good points, but I've been a Massey fan for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So we because this is a Muslim show, we're talking about it from a Muslim angle here. What are your thoughts on AIPAC and AIPAC's domination of Congress? I don't know if you saw this recent thing with former Congressman Matt Gaetz on the Tim Pool show, where he basically talked about walking around like slave
Yeah,
markets with a QR code.
yeah.
You want to comment on that? What's your position
I
on that whole kerfuffle?
look, man. I'm a part of the majority. You know, we can't have that. Whether it's I know that there's a lot of people on specifically on the left that just hate Jews, right? I don't hate Jews. I hate anybody buying influence. I hate the idea of a foreign government, and that's what AIPAC is. They represent the interests of a foreign government, uh,
Hmm.
buying their way into my representatives' pockets. You know, they're selling their votes, and really they're selling our votes, and that's not what they're there for. You know, so AIPAC, I think that they should be registered under FARA, and then I think that anybody who is registered under FARA, they should be disqualified from having any influence in our elections. I don't think that we should have any money coming to our representatives from a foreign government. I don't care if it's Israel. I don't care if it's Qatar. I don't care if it's Egypt. I don't care if it's China. I don't care. They have no place lobbying our elected officials.
You know, Mike,
Absolutely.
when I was young in college, my term paper for, or my final paper for political science, I can't remember which exact class that was, but it was a political science class related subject, and I discussed campaign finance reform, and this has been over 20 years ago. Not to date myself too back, but um, it's been talked about for a long time, and what I think there's fundamental problems with the way the system is structured that is
Yeah.
making candidates do everything possible to get as much money as they can from anyone,
Yeah.
make promises that that they will have to keep, especially to an organization like AIPAC. Um, are you looking into some of these problems? Are you thinking about like, hey, there's something deeper at play here? Because we've heard campaign finance reform from candidates for years and years, but nothing's being done about it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Part of the reason that I'm running is so that I can help restructure the system of representation. Um, I think that when Citizens United, when that court ruling came through, I think that was a big problem. I think that's a big part of the problem. Um, but as far as the mechanics of actually restructuring and reforming campaign finance to benefit the people of the country and not just whoever has an open checkbook, I think there's a few different things that we could do. Some a little more radical than others. But I have a few ideas. Me and Aaron Baker have actually spitballed a few of those back and forth. But I'd love to hear what you think. What do you think we can do to restructure it?
Well, fundamentally, I think it looks like there's a need for like having all the candidates on an equal footing, and make it publicly available funds that are a set amount for whichever party. And I know it's a slippery slope, because who decides that it's only the Republicans and the Democrats that get into it? That can be figured out later. But I think essentially, if you put it back into public dollars, that what we pay for in our taxes and stuff, instead of sending God knows how much money we send to all these other countries across the world to buy their, I'm sure it can't be more than that, right? If we direct that to our candidates instead and say, hey, you guys have this much money to play with, you do your best and make the best argument you can with the money you have allocated to you, you cut it off the problem at the core. There's no more being at the behest of corporations. Forget about foreign governments. We have companies within. We have defense contractors. We have energy companies. We have finance companies who want you to look the other way when you're passing legislation. Cut it all out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I think that lobbying's disgusting. It's horrible. I hate it. That's what we keep talking about. It's all about money for these people.
Yeah,
that's really, it's all about money. It's all about winning, or they throw a bone to their constituents just enough to where that they can get reelected, but they don't ever actually fix the problems, because then the cash cow gets cut off. That's it. The money stream gets shut down.
Yeah, and you see some of these congressmen who have been in Congress for a long time, whether it's senators or congressmen, they're multimillionaires. They don't disclose everything, but you figure out like, oh, how much time are they actually spending looking at their district's problems and the issues that the country actually faces, instead of making promises and backroom deals with a lot of these other lobbyists and figuring out an exit strategy when they get out of public out of the public practice or being a public servant rather. You're wondering like, well, you're a multimillionaire. You look at some of the examples from the Democratic and Democratic leadership, like Nancy Pelosi, multimillionaire. All these people, they're just, some of these veterans are just rich beyond belief. And like, wait, your salary does not reflect that. No matter what kind of investing guru that you have, could not have propelled you to the level that you are at now.
No. And it's rampant, man. It's bipartisan. It's on both sides.
Both sides.
Probably 99% of them. And that's why we don't have any real push to ban the congressional stock trading. That's why we don't have any real push to enact term limits on the House and the Senate. It's because they're not going to limit their ability to take advantage of the system. That's why people like me have to get in, because I don't want to be a politician. I don't want to have to do this. I want the grown-ups to do the right thing, But the way I see it, we can't keep waiting on the what we believe to be the right people to do the right thing, because they're not going to do it.
I know, like people like me and Harry, we liked the idea of Trump. When Trump was calling all this out in both of his elections, he was talking about this, and it was really resonating with a lot of people. No matter what side of the aisle you were, everyone's been identifying that, hey, there's something deeper at play beyond AIPAC too. That there is Congress has become a group of individuals who, I'm not saying they don't care about America at all. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying that part of what they do is, or a big chunk of their time is devoted to lining their pockets. And that's a very dangerous area, because but at the end of the day, what are your feelings on Trump though, being talking about all this stuff, but the swamp still remains. There's still all these people in Congress who just grovel towards him and feed his ego, tell him how great he is, and he doesn't end up doing anything against them, because That's what we were thinking. At least the people who thought that Trump was going to actually do something. Um, that's what many of them were thinking, that he's going to put an end to all this. Are you let down?
Well, for me, draining the swamp was the thing that I was most excited about because it's something that we've all known for years. I think probably the best thing that Donald Trump has ever done was giving a name to entrenched corruption, and that's what it is. That's what the swamp is entrenched corruption. But I don't think that him on his own would ever have been capable of draining the entire swamp. I think that it's too far reaching. I think that honestly, it's at every level of government. It's at local. It's in your city. It's in your county. It's in your state capital. And what those people do is it's a reflection of the entire system. So they get in at city council, and then they move up to county commissioner, and then they move up to state rep, and then they go to Congress. But that's where they learned how to screw the system over. That's where they learned to bend the law to benefit themselves. And that's another part of the reason why I'm running, is because I completely reject that. I've been told by a few people, "Oh, just run for a lower office. Run for a local seat. You'll have a better chance of winning." It's like, no, I don't care. It's not just about winning. It's about the message.
Right.
It's about reaching as many people as I can, because even if I'm the wrong person for this job, which I don't think I am, I do think I'm the right person for this job. I think I'll be good at this job. I think that even if I inspire just 10 people to stand up and do the right thing, maybe each one of those people will inspire 10 on their own. Maybe it'll keep going down that line. That's what I really want. I want people to take accountability for a system that they've allowed to be created. So you asked me if I'm disappointed with Donald Trump. I am. I am disappointed with this administration as a whole. I think that a lot of the people that have gotten close to him, in his cabinet specifically, I think that they're just bad actors. I think that they're just there for themselves. I would like to think that Donald Trump is everything that he campaigned on. But there's been a lot of things, man, that have definitely let me down.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not running for president.
Well, I think many people in the MAGA movement were supporting him because they're like, hey, this guy's rich. He doesn't need anyone else's money. But what does he do? He ends up taking money from Miriam Adelson and all these other Elon and so on, right? So you're like, wait, so your whole thing was that you're going to fund it from your own bank account. You're not going to be you're not going to be held to anyone's campaign donations and their expectations of how your office is going to be run. And you see all the old dogs coming back, Marco Rubio and all them joining as Secretary of State. And you know what, Marco Rubio is a rabid Zionist. He's going to make sure that everything is going according to Netanyahu's plan rather than what's best for America. Yeah. So,
Mike,
a lot of people feel betrayed. Go ahead, Harry.
Mike, thank you, appreciate it. Mike, how would you handle this foreign funding issue? Do you think the United States government should be, and of course you being in Congress, if you were to win, you have the power of the purse. Do you think the United States government should be funding any foreign country at all?
I think that we have an obligation as the world superpower, in a certain extent, to stand for the most vulnerable. So if there's like some mass level of atrocity with somebody who we're close with, right, an ally, I think that at that point, yeah, we should do everything that we can to help the people, the vulnerable people. But if you're asking me if I think that we should send billions of dollars over to some corrupt nation so that they can launder it and send it back to an offshore account for us or whatever happens, no, absolutely not. Like, we need to keep as much money here as we can. It's not benefiting the people of this country, and this is our country. I think people forget that.
Yes.
our rights as Americans are given by God, and the government doesn't have rights. The government has powers given to them by the people. So they can't just keep doing this crap where they're putting us last, and they're putting whether it's foreign donors or people that they made a promise to. They shook hands in the back room to get this done in exchange for this, right? That's not how this works. And people are going to start waking up more and more and more.
Gentlemen, did I lose you?
I think we may have lost him.
Okay. Mike, I think we lost you. Let's hold on a second. Mossad. Freaking Mossad. As always. It's always Mossad.
Mossad at it again with their tricks. But
I really do think it is.
Why don't you message him on the side and just tell him to rejoin?
Hold on a second. You got somebody there in the studio with you?
Nope. Just me and
Just
you.
me? Okay, hold on a second. Let me see if I can get a hold of this gentleman. Do-do-do-do. Let's see if he joins. If you can.
Maybe to fill the silence, you could sing your song.
Oh, la belle vie is do-do-do, something in French that I can't pronounce. Oh, oui, la belle vie. They don't like it when other people sing in their language. No, that's true. French people don't like it when you speak their language.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't bother to learn French. It's just like, oh, yeah, but that's
Yeah. You know that everyone who has gone to France came back telling me those guys are snobs over in that country. I don't know why we went there. So I never wanted to go visit.
I don't know. See, I forget who mentioned it. It may have been Jimmy Dore, but part of he said that this whole kerfuffle between Candace and Bridget Macron's wife, part of it he thinks is because the French still have like actual literal colonies over black people, not just a legacy, not just some businesses, but like actual de facto colonies. If you think about it, that's what the French Foreign Legion is there. It's there to crack skulls.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know? So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some of that going on there. Because, I mean, I'm going to be really honest with you. You know, how I get really annoyed when Muslims say, we can mass migrate to the West because we're going to punish these white people for colonialism. And it's like, yeah, what did the Irish do to you? You're in Dublin, Ireland, living on welfare. Ahmed, what are you doing? What did people in Dublin do to you? What did Brian from Belfast?
I think those guys are just talking ish. You know, the reality is that we all know that these governments are needing labor or whatever reasons they have in their respective countries. They've allowed a certain amount of people to come into their countries to fulfill a certain need that their country is not able to do. Now, it's up to the people in that country. My position is that I can't blanket statement say every country should ban immigration. I think every country should do what's best for them and determine what they should do. I don't think America can be considered a white country anymore when it's 40% of different races, a combination of different races. So it's I think in a decade or so, it's going to be more than 50%. So
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I think that depends on how you define white. Because there's a lot of white girls I knew in university who are like half Japanese or third Korean, and they were basically white girls. A lot of people through intermarriage. If you go by the technical stats, the technical numbers, and this is what I always get into with white nationalists, because white nationalist tribunals. Like America is not like an ethno state like Sweden, so it these arguments that they make for Sweden make sense, but they don't make sense for Texas, which has always been like Texas is literally Six Flags over Texas. It's always been a multiracial, multi-ethnic thing since its inception, and Texas is doing just fine.
Yeah.
Everybody in Texas identifies Tejanos identify as Texans, white people identify as Texans. Muslims live there a few generations, they start to see themselves as Texans.
Yeah.
But with America, with specifically because of intermarriage, like everybody always makes fun of Nick Fuentes for being a quote unquote gay Mexican, but the reality is Fuentes is a white name. He's white. He's a white Latino. I hate to use that phrase "white Latino" because the media uses so cringe.
Yeah.
But it is true. Like in Mexico, white people who are Latino are in a different class. They have, hey Mike, your camera's sideways. Mike's back, everybody. Yeah. So we were just talking about. You're still sideways.
How's
There
that?
you go. That's much better.
Sorry about that, guys. Technical
That's okay.
difficulties.
Well, we were talking
we
about
understand.
immigration, Mike, and we were thinking about some of the different types of conversations that are happening across the internet about how Western societies need to organize themselves. And have you thought about what kind of position the United States should take in regards to immigration? Is it a religious state to you, as some people want to frame America as, that it's a Christian nation and that it should always remain that? How have you thought about this subject? I know it can be kind of tricky, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think that it's hard to deny that at the very least our founders were heavily influenced by Christianity at the time, from the Scottish Enlightenment on forward. But they purposefully, I think, made it so that freedom of choice was universal. So when it comes to immigration, I don't think that we can just say, because let's dial it back a little bit here. So rewind. So somebody asked me very recently, somebody on the right, they said, what can we do about all these Muslims coming in trying to do Sharia law? And it's like, man, first of all, Sharia law is not gonna, that's kind of a silly thing to even bring up, because we can't have a state-sponsored religion. We can't have anything other than the law that we already have, and that's just not gonna happen in America. But they wanted me to have this position of like, how are you going to round these people up, pretty much? Like, how are you going to prevent this from happening? It's like, dude, like, I don't really know what you're asking me. It's like, you're asking me to put people in a camp, essentially, because of their thoughts. You want people to be guilty because of how they think or how they feel or how they believe. And that in itself is just wholly un-American. And you have representatives like Randy Fine. I know you guys know who that is.
We do.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Just
Definitely
saying
not a friend of the show.
No, I don't think that he would be on here. But saying the inflammatory and bombastic things that he says about your community, it's like, my God, man, like that's so un-American, like that's so it specifically about immigration though. I don't think that our current system is set up very well. I think that it takes too long for people who actually want to come here and have a better life, have the opportunities that we have here. I think that we need some serious reform. I know that's not really a Republican issue. It's kind of been welded to the left. But I don't think that anybody fits in a box perfectly. So that's something that I'd be willing to look into and research. How do we effectively make it easier for the right people to come here?
Yeah, and I think the spirit of immigration, at least the way it was understood, was that you or at least from the intent of it, was that you bring in the best and the brightest, people who need opportunity, who want a place where they can pursue their dreams, where it wasn't possible in other countries. Now it's just kind of become almost some form of indentured servitude, where you're just coming in and you're working the worst jobs possible, and actually hurting the local economies, because people, college students can't get hired, high school students can't find jobs, because there's just much more cheaper labor for employers to get from immigrants, whether they're legal or illegal, right? There's people who are working for a lot less money, because a lot of those communities who are coming in, they are coming in as a unit. So everyone in that household is working and supporting a home. And that's fair that they're doing that. And even if they're doing that by the book, it's just hurting many communities where just students can't get jobs.
Right. Yeah. I feel like we need fewer people, and the people that we do bring in need to be very well qualified and super motivated. Yeah.
No, I agree completely. Absolutely.
Have you thought about the H-1B program? That's the one that was kind of a thing that Elon was really up in arms about, that there was pushback from the MAGA movement that H-1B should be banned and or curtailed, and it looks like Trump has put some constraints on it by putting a much more higher fee on it.
Yeah, I would support that. I think Elon Musk was wrong on this one, and I think we should just let that. I think that's a perfect example. Like you said, it's a type of indentured servitude, borderline slavery. My beef with mass migration is not Harry Elf hates brown people. I'm married to a brown woman, and I live in Indonesia with a brown wife, and my kids are going to be half brown. So this is not Harry Elf beefing on brown people. Hell, after being out in the damn sun all day, I probably am kind of brown myself now. The problem is like you said, Sam. It's like it's just a it ends up being a form of indentured servitude and slavery. And in America, I was thinking about this. I don't know what your thoughts are, Mike, but it seems to me that in America we always talk about America is the land of immigration, but it's not the land of unlimited migration. We kind of go through these swings. We take in people in waves, and then we assimilate them. And so this is what as I was telling Sim when you were offline, Mike, there's this thing about white identitarianism. A lot of people end up identifying as white over time. I'm Irish Scotch. Like Elf is an Irish Scotch name. From people from Tennessee have this name. You'll see Elf Motors or Pastor Fred Elf or whatever. The Irish people were not considered white 100 years ago, and now they are. Now I'm considered white. So like the definition of what white is, I make this argument to the white identitarians. They're like, we need to be a white European nation. It's like, bro, you consider people from Lebanon are counted as white. Yeah. It's not as clear cut as people make it out to be.
No, it's not. It's not. No, it's kind of a silly argument to make, especially in America. With immigration being such a big part of, we're the melting pot, right? I understand the pushback in countries like Ireland, where they have a unique culture. But American culture is kind of just a mix of a bunch of different influences, So I think that, bring your best, bring your brightest.
Yeah. Mike, or someone in the chat made a good point. Like, wait, we're not going to allow dumb people to come. I'm not saying we have like an IQ test. I think what we just need to look at.
We got enough dumb people already.
No, I think what I'm saying is,
come on now.
How about you just look at what you need? Maybe we do need, like, maybe in X amount of years from now, we need certain people who need to do what dumb people do. I don't like that term, but let's just say there's a job for those type of people. And how about you just decide on immigration based on what your needs are as a country? Maybe you have too many programmers in your country, and you don't need to be giving out all these visas to all these other countries around the world to bring in that that level of talent. Maybe you need to direct your visas towards other industries or areas where you actually need help, because you just don't have enough Americans trained in that field. What are your thoughts on that? I'm just thinking out loud because this is still a conversation that's still happening, and I don't think many people have totally ironed it out yet. Even though many people have grand suggestions, or they want to just paint everything with a broad stroke and just axe the whole system, and nuke it. What are your thoughts on that?
No, it's a big issue, and it's being talked about every day. I think you're onto something though, but you have to take into the account of the fact that we have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of qualified people in these positions, American citizens, that are unemployed.
Yeah.
And you have people with engineering degrees that work at Walmart. They not engineering, stocking shelves. So I think that the American people have to be put first. Every other country puts their people first.
Yeah.
It's silly to expect the American people to be able to just sit there and be okay with being put last.
Yeah.
It at the end of the day, that's just like everything else we've talked about. It comes down to money. It comes down to labor costs. So I think that adding that, what was it, $100,000 that Trump put on as the fee for H-1B visas, I think that was a step in the right direction, and I support that.
Yeah, and at the same time, we have native, just regular Americans who are abusing the system, whether irrespective of the race, where they're taking public welfare when they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
There's a huge problem all across. I was just watching a documentary the other day about the whole fentanyl problem across Appalachia, and there's all these just drug-laden areas where people are just on welfare, and they're just making whatever reason not to work, and just collecting a check and spending it on drugs, and living in a very in a city that's completely just ravaged by these drugs.
Yeah,
That's
we have
really
pockets like that in my district. Little areas of neighborhoods and little towns where it's like, the police don't go there, because these people are out of their minds. They're so messed up on this fentanyl. You see them leaning over trash cans and stuff. It's like, man, like they're being almost enabled. It's like the issue that you see in San Francisco. Not trying to jump to the other side of the country, but they've poured billions of dollars into solving the homelessness crisis, and instead they've just made it worse.
Yeah.
They've made it towards no incentive for people to do better. I think that that's a big problem with welfare. I think that having some sort of social safety net for people, for our citizens, is, it's probably a good idea to have. We don't want kids going hungry. When I was a kid, we were on welfare for a few years. We were on food stamps when I was a kid, after the market collapsed. But when you have people making essentially a career out of doing nothing and just living off the government with no responsibility, there's no incentive for them to do better. They have everything that they need. They have everything that they want. They're living their dream, their drug-laden dream, and it's just not good for society. It's not good for the economy. It's not good for the culture. There's just nothing good about it.
Yeah, it takes a lot of work and money invested in by the government to rehab these communities, to put, not just on the infrastructure level, but the people level. You're going to have to create clinics and I don't know if camp is the right word, but like institutions that are basically rehabilitating a lot of these communities that have been ravaged by fentanyl addiction, and that. These things, there's no like magic wand for this stuff. It takes you, and it seems like what's happening, at least from the government level, is that they're just seeing that as almost like as a monetary value. Like, oh, these are just losses. We're just going to cut our losses with these, and we're going to bring new pool of talent from whichever country in the world, and we're going to fill these people up, because we're not even going to worry about spending money in figuring out how to solve this problem. There's stuff that they talk about, like with with the fentanyl factories or wherever that's being manufactured in China, and they politicize some issues around it, and with some Latin American countries where the federal government seems like they're bombing speedboats and stuff, but I think those are just being politicized. I don't think they really are taking a hard look in the mirror and seeing that, hey, our people need help, and we need to rehabilitate these communities and get them back working again. And it's sad because I think they just really have written it off as if it's like a ledger book and just said, hey, you know what? On to the next group of people who can fill our pockets.
No,
Mike, what do you think about? Oh, sorry, Mike, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say our government is enabling people to waste their lives away.
Yeah,
That's what it is. Go ahead, Harry. Sorry.
Oh, thanks, I appreciate it. What do you think about UBI as an alternative to the current welfare state, given that AI and automation are starting to really take off here? Like, we're seeing computers and robots starting to do things that they've never done before. And it looks like a lot of people, even very middle class, sophisticated, highly intelligent people, about to be laid off. Now, I used to be a long haul truck driver, so I have blue collar background, kind of like you. But trucking is, contrary to popular belief, it's harder to automate long haul trucker than people would think.
Yeah.
Or at least automate completely. You're certainly in a job profession that's not going anywhere anytime soon. But
No.
for a lot of people, including fast food workers, a lot of like low skilled blue collar workers, they're about to get Das Boot, and then we're about to get a lot of white collar people. A lot of young people are having trouble finding entry level positions right now because it's getting automated. What would you say to those people? Is there any room for UBI or something like that in your mind? Or is that just more of the same problem?
I think that progress is something that the human species has always strived for. And so at what point does that progress become harmful? I think that part of being human is having something to live for, having purpose, finding your purpose, whether it comes from your job, your hobby, whatever it is. People need to feel productive. And I think that AI is going to radically and drastically change everything that we know about life over the next 10 years, 5 to 10 years. I think that there's going to be, I hate to say it, but there's going to be a lot of useless people. And I don't believe in that. That goes against everything that I believe in. I believe that everybody has a purpose. I believe that every life is valuable, and you just have to find what your purpose is. But I think that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be just plugged into the machine, man. And so
Yeah.
I really don't know. I don't think anybody really knows. Like, there's nothing wrong with talking about it. Like, oh, what would you do? It's like, yeah, I mean, like, I've been adamantly against universal basic income for years, for a decade. I've been adamantly against it since the first time I heard about it. But with AI, it's like, my God, what's the answer? Are we going to go back to sustenance farming? Like, are we going to go back to a barter system? Like, what's going to happen if it's not UBI?
Yeah.
Because some people have had the bright side approach where they look at it and say, oh, I'm going to have much more time for my hobbies and my goals and my interests. And it's like, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that it's going to be as sunshiny as some people are trying to make it. I don't think that at all. Unless there's a high tax on the profits made by, these AI companies. I don't know, but it's good to talk about. I'd love to talk some more about it.
I've got my 100% from the VA, and living over here overseas full time. My life, is mostly good. I can't complain right now. Yeah. But it is true that one of the reasons I do this podcast is not for the money. It's like you said, it is a meaning and purpose thing. It's a reason why I'm trying to grow on X. It's not just because of the ad revenue, the $20 every 2 weeks that Uncle Elon gives me. It's also because it's something to do. Yeah. Something they hope promotes goodness. And I have friends who have their 100% like me that, people from my old unit that do really good stuff. Richard McKinney, we've had him on the show. He's former Marine Corps veteran, became Muslim. He's got his 100%, and he's always out there promoting peace and doing good things with his life. And then I see some people who are just like, they're just zombies, man. They just took that check and checked out, and it
Yeah.
is a problem. Maybe government doesn't have an answer for that. Maybe that's where religion has to come in.
Yeah. I think that it's a heart and mind thing. I think that if you already have no purpose outside of just waking up and going to work, coming home, if you don't find happiness in anything else, I think that your natural inclination is going to be to get drunk all day and then get high at night. I don't I don't know. I think that you can't legislate a change in the hearts of man. You can't put programs in place that are going to make people feel fulfilled. You can't do anything to that end legally.
Yeah.
All you can do is by example. So I think that religion and faith in God is going to be the only thing that's going to help a lot of these people.
Yeah, that's such a brilliant point. It makes you think, because there's only so much. Like, I often try to pose the question, like, what would you tell the founding fathers? Because I think the Constitution, United States Constitution, at least in the secular sense, is the best document, at least for governance. And I think, what would you tell them to protect? If you could travel back in time and tell them, like, hey, add some protections against these lobbyists and these people who are trying to hijack the government with trying to find an avenue of greed within politicians and stuff, and ultimately there's not a whole lot. I mean, what could you add to the Constitution of the United States to have prevented all these lobbying groups and foreign interest groups to hijack your political process? I really can't think of a whole lot that you could have done. And it takes an internal mechanism within the people, a spiritual revival, where people essentially fear God, and they fear, like, hey, I gotta do what's best for, what's morally right at some level. And it just can't be about, like, saying the right things to get votes, but that the people in themselves are pushing for goodness and morality in their world. And right now, it just seems like the way everything has been kind of organized in our society is that you got to get yours, and it's been very kind of greed-driven society, and I think that's kind of being reflected in our politicians too.
Yeah, absolutely. No, so I had met somebody a few months ago, and they asked me essentially, like, oh, like, I guess they didn't ask me. They assumed that I was going to get to Washington and just only care about money, that I was going to be bought and paid for just like all the other ones. And I told them that, like, no, like, I don't need that stuff. I don't care about money, man. I grew up poor, and I grew up a Christian, and so I know that you can't take it with you. Jesus said it's easier for a camel to fit through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get to heaven, right?
Yeah.
So for me, none of that stuff's important. I just want to have an opportunity for the next generation to do better. I think that mentality, that perception of the American dream, instead of the consumerist having the nicest car, having the nicest house, having the new phone every 6 months when it comes out. A lot of people have never heard that perspective. A lot of people don't live that way. It's become the American dream to have everything that you can find, everything you can dream of, to have everything. That's become the American dream, and that's not what it is to me. I don't think that's what it was to our founding fathers. And to them, it was just a more perfect union from one generation to the next, having upward mobility, having the opportunity, having limited government, and just protecting the rights of the people. That's what it was. So you asked me what can, in a hypothetical world where I could go back in time and tell them everything that was going to happen, I think that they'd probably burn it all down and start over.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. In fact, they put it in the Constitution that you can burn it all down and start all over.
they did. They did.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people think we're there right now. They're the black pilled guys. And I was black pilled not too long ago. And then I looked at my little kids. I have 4 kids, 8, 7, 3, and 1, 2 boys and 2 girls. And I was like, I was on the side of like, yeah, let's burn it down. Yeah, let's start over. We need to. We have to. And then I looked at their face and it's like, man, I don't want my kids to grow up in a country like that. I
Yeah.
don't want my kids to grow up in a war-torn,
Messy.
divided country. Like I want to do everything that I can to inspire people to keep it together, to just fix what we have, bring it back to the way that it was intended. I'm not ready to give up on America. I'm not. I think that we've got a pretty good thing going, and I think that it's just been manipulated and changed over time to benefit a club that I'm not a part of.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's possible too.
Fix it. That's it.
I think
You
it's
believe?
possible.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think
Good.
it's possible. Yeah, I think it's possible to. I mean, we're already seeing. One thing I will give Trump credit for is he is starting to pull us out of a lot of nonsense in the world. He goes back on it. He lets the wrong people say it, but you're feeling a real shift in the country because it's always been, especially with the boomer crowd, they always get hoodwinked back into supporting things. I actually am pretty white-pilled about Gen Z and younger
Yes.
millennials. I think that they're really going to make a change here in the country in a much better way. I think they're going to take the baton. We're in a fourth generational turning, and the Gen Z kids are at they're the tip of the spear, leading us into something different, and I think it will be fundamentally better. I think that, Donald Trump has slowed down immigration to a crawl, and we're going to figure out how to. Yeah, I also feel, especially with this Israeli thing, I don't know if you've noticed this. My brother, who's on the other side of politics for me, he's very lefty. My brother and I both noticed that America seems more united than ever over Israel. It's very weird. For the longest time, we were super divided to the point of like low key civil war, and then suddenly everybody's kind of like agreeing that Israel is just evil and we need to get it out of our politics and stop supporting it. And it's a strange uniting thing that's happening across a lot of racial and political lines over that thing right now. It's good. It's good. It's fixable. It's very fixable.
I think so.
It is
I think
fixable,
so.
and I think what Harry's talking about is definitely happening, and I see a lot of the conversations shifting away from a lot of the white nationalist crowd, where they were first initially saying that we just got to keep the country white, but then as they saw a lot of other ethnicities and a lot of people saying, hey, we want the same thing, we want morality back in this country. You're seeing the conversation, them kind of backpedaling away from this whole kind of like, you kind of get like an ethno-state type of vibe that you were getting maybe a year or so ago. And that's kind of dying down. And I'm seeing them being more receptive to a coalition of people who are seeing that the importance of morality and trying to bring, whether it's whichever religion you are, that the value of morality coming back and at least uniting on what we have in common to bring those principles back. Because right now you're seeing a society that has no meaning, this postmodernist society. You're seeing, I was just joking with my son the other day, and I said something that I think I was just giving a phone number to someone, and I mentioned the number 67, and he starts giggling. 67, I'm like, what 67? Like, is this some perverted joke I made? And I was completely out of tune, and like, no, it's got no meaning. It's just something funny we all laugh at. I'm like, wait, jokes are supposed to have something to reference and joke. No, it has no meaning. But that's what postmodernism is, and it's kind of permeated even to these kids who are laughing about something that makes no sense at all, and.
Yeah.
And you're seeing a society and even foreign policy that's being enacted that makes no sense. You know, John Mearsheimer wrote all these books about states being rational actors and stuff, and states aren't even acting rationally anymore. I don't think he can make that argument, and I wish I could have a conversation with him and see whether he still thinks that states are acting rationally, because it's becoming increasingly difficult to make that argument. I think it's been a great conversation with you, Mike, and I really hope that we stay in touch and continue having conversations, and really wish you and your campaign luck in the upcoming primaries, and we'll do our best to promote you as much as we can. Harry, do you have any final closing thoughts?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. No, go ahead,
No,
Mike.
go ahead, Harry.
No, I would just say thank you for coming on, and yeah, again, we really want to support you as much as possible. And both you and Aaron Baker. I have family in Aaron Baker's district, so I'd like to. I've been trying to promote Aaron Baker to them, and I want to promote you as much as possible on my platform on X, and also, when are the primaries again? When is that exactly?
August. Second week of
Okay. Okay, so we got less than a year to prepare for that and push for that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you had we'll talk about this after show. I got a couple questions I don't want to say on camera.
All right,
Okay.
great.
Right.
Mike,
No
you got any closing thoughts? Anything you want to leave our listeners with?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not a politician. You can tell by the way that I talk. I've never been media trained. I don't come from a rich family. I grew up poor. There's still hope. I am Gen Z. I was born in 1998. I'm 27 years old. My father of four. I own my own home. The American dream's not dead yet. I just see a lot of people who are hopeless in the future. If you want things to get better, you have to stand up and do it yourself. You can't wait for somebody else to come save you. That's really all it is. So if you have this idea in your head that, maybe I should do it 1,000% do it. Because even if it's not supposed to be you that gets elected, maybe you'll inspire somebody else. So personal accountability, belief, and hope. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Those are the three things that get us through this.
Awesome.
Amen. 110%.
Thank you, brother. For our listeners, please make sure to throw a comment in the comment section below. Like if you haven't done so already. We'll see you all next time. Assalamu alaikum.
I want their leader brought here. I want
So,
him brought to me. I want the revolution crushed.